Welcome back to Straight Facts on Wednesday. Man like Mojenda, the original Dom Husam here with me. How are you both?
We're good. We're good. We're good.
Alhamdulillah. Things are
Mo, I
very...
want to speak first on Straight Facts. Don't start. Don't start.
You're coming on my... Oh, this was my...
I'm an OG.
You are an OG. You are an OG, but for circumstances, you are the latest.
Big up to the Terrace audience, my favorite audience on the planet. Big up to every single one of you guys. I love the Terrace community. They always show me love and show Mo love and show Terry love. Big up to all of you guys. Straight Facts is back. My beautiful face is on the intro even more now. Big up KJ. No longer KJ. I'll change my mind. Hit the like button, subscribe, and yeah, today's party is going to be incredible. Let's do this.
There is a lot to talk about today. We're looking at McKenna returning to Man United potentially as manager. We're looking at Tottenham's mentality and the fight now that's been created between Big Ange Postecoglou and a lot of their supporters. We're going to be taking a look at a big decision from last night and asking the question, were Arsenal robbed? It's a question. It's not a statement as of now. So please don't cry. And also a lot of the mainstream media last night and today has come out and is slamming Man City, is talking about the charges and the cloud. The timing seems a little bit off to me, but we're going to be looking at some snippets and having that conversation as well. Remember to hit the like button. Please remember to subscribe. Already 1,200 people watching, less than 2 minutes in, which is out of this world. But YouTube, just to let you know, you've been beaten by Twitch 3 days running now on likes. The Twitch viewers are beating you. So make sure you get hitting that like button. But gents, I wanted to start off today with an ongoing topic, which is always great to I think to start a show with, and that's Man United's next potential manager. The news last night and today, and this echoes something I've been told for about 4 or 5 months now. Man United are having conversations with potentially bringing the current Ipswich manager back to Man United. He's a former coach of ours, as our new manager to lead the rebuild under INEOS. Thoughts on this link, gents?
Let's Mo go first.
I'm going to take this because big Man United getting a championship manager is fantastic to see. Fantastic to see. I don't know a lot about Ipswich Town. I don't watch championship, but all I know is this guy doesn't have a lot of experience in the in football in terms of coaching. He was an assistant to Oli, if I'm not mistaken, and then he went to coach Ipswich. Yes, got them to the Premier League, but Vincent Kompany got Burnley to the Premier League, and he got relegated right down because he doesn't have the experience enough. Some Man City fans said, "Oh, Vincent Kompany, future Man City." You guys, to be honest with you, this is Man United in a nutshell at the current moment. I don't feel sorry for you because you had your time on top. I don't know if this is the right guy, but I actually think this can be the right guy for this fan base. The reason why he is, I watched a couple of his interviews and a couple of press conferences. He's a good guy in talking. He knows how to talk, what to talk. And he is going to teach the fan base to be patient. If Man United get a big name, the fans will demand success tomorrow or the year after. Well, they're getting someone like this is telling the fan base from this board that everybody wants to trust. Wait, we are building. We aren't in for an instant success. We are trying to build something here. If Man United go tomorrow and get Thomas Tuchel, 1 year the fan base are like, why aren't we winning?
Do sell out.
What? No, it's like, why aren't we winning? What is happening here? But if Man United get McKenna, I think it shows where the club is at. And it actually I think the last thing I'm going to say, it puts the fan base on the ground again. It brings them back to the ground. This is where you are. This is the level you are now. Wait, be patient, play your role at the current moment as Man United. You aren't Liverpool, you aren't challenging, you aren't Arsenal, you aren't Man City. This is McKenna. We're building with him. Maybe if it doesn't work, you bring in another one. This is my opinion.
I actually agree with you, but the one thing I'll only question, and I always question this. This is genuinely my biggest problem with this McKenna thing, and it's the same thing that I said about Slot to Liverpool and all this. The only $1 million question that will only be answered if he actually gets the job and tries is always, is it too much of a step up? That's the only question I can ask, because we already know. I've watched, obviously, listen, I'm not like a championship fan. I'm sat here watching the championship. I'd be a liar if I said so. But of course, we've seen clips of Ipswich play football. I've seen a couple of games on them sometimes in the background and stuff, because I really like the championships. I actually think it's very enjoyable to watch just from outside looking in. I think they play really good football. It's offensive. It's good to watch. It brings back the old school Man United. The only question, genuine question here, and if you're a Man United fan, you should be questioning this as well. Is it too much of a step up? This is just the only question, because if you become the Man United manager, you wear that crest, you do that first press conference, is that crest too heavy on you? Is it too much of a step up? Does McKenna need to go manage like Wolves first, as an example, or Palace first?
Yeah. So I think that question, whether it's too big a step up, is fair. And it won't be answered. It won't be answered until he comes in, but it's a very fair question. There is not a response I think a Man United fan can put out there that debunks it or settles everybody's nerves. What I do find interesting is I searched my and McKenna. So I just wanted to go back because there was something in the back of my mind. I remember reading something about him back in October 2001. There was an article in The Athletic, and it came out when players were slamming the coaching at the club. And the article said that more than one well-placed source insists that McKenna commands a huge amount of respect from the players through the manner of his setup, and the way he conducts himself in training. There was another part of that article that also goes on to say that many people in United and many people within football feel that McKenna is the type of coach who will one day manage one of the big six teams in the Premier League. And I sort of forgot the ins and outs of that article. So I went back to the article because I knew I'd shared something about him and his coaching years ago, and I couldn't quite find it. And then I did. Then I found it. And listen, because there was an article from years ago that said that he could potentially manage a top clubs one day, doesn't necessarily equal that he is right for Manchester United right now. However, this is someone that's not just been plucked out of obscurity. This is somebody who this is what he said. The article here said a well-placed a number of associates said that McKenna has a potential to go on to manage a top six Premier League club, such as his level of diligence and research when preparing and coaching his teams. So this was done years before he came to Man United. So am I now surprised that he's taken over at Ipswich, got back-to-back promotions, which is a rarity in the UK, a rarity to do back-to-back. He has a connection to Man United. He knows lots of the club from top to bottom. He has a great relationship with a lot of our young players because he was the youth academy coach. Am I, again, doing cartwheels for this link? I said the same thing about Thomas Frank yesterday. No, I'm not sitting here and thinking, oh my God, this is the greatest thing we could do. But I'm equally not panicking about it because I agree with what you've said, Mo. I think Man United, although you'll have United fans saying, we've got to have standards. You've got to have this high standards, Terry. You've got to build the foundation for those standards to sit upon. If you could build the most amazing house with the best bricks, the best timber, the best concrete. You could decorate it with the most expensive furniture in the world, have the best decorators come in and do it, have the greatest landscape gardening done. If you haven't built solid foundations, it will all crumble. So your standards can be as high as you want. You can buy the best players, you can get the best manager. If the foundation isn't built, it will fall apart. And unless we can find a top-class manager that fits the Standard FC level, who's also willing to help us gut the place first, with the potential of going further backwards before we move forward, then we are going to have to look for a different type of manager. The one thing with McKenna is that I speak to my brother about him, who follows the EFL. McKenna's football is renowned across league football in the UK in terms of its high quality football, excellent positioning, modern, if you want to call it that. And I think to get fans on side and to give fans patience, the style of football, I think, is going to be key. The football having an element of entertainment, having those sort of green shoots of hope of, I can see the light at the end of the tunnel. I can get behind this, even if we're not progressing to begin with at a rate everybody's excited about. So, as I say, I don't think he's the number one target. it's been said to me by a number of journalists that he's been on the list for a while. I'm not doing cartwheels, but I'm equally not panicking. And by the way, yes, just like Thomas Frank, I would take Kieran McKenna over Southgate 100 times over. Like, if that's the other option, give me McKenna. But that's just on a personal preference. But either way, I'm staying true to myself on this. I am going to trust Dan Ashworth. I'm going to trust Barada in their decision-making. If they believe it's the right football decision, I'm going to put my faith in that decision for a period of time.
Can I ask you a question? Realistic name. What name would you rather have for Man United? Realistic. Don't give me Zidane. Like this. I need a realistic name. I know it's a very tough question for you, but realistic name, would you be like, I actually think this is the best for me personally? Like, if you ask Husam, he would tell you a name for Liverpool, but I want your name. I know you haven't said that to your audience.
So realistic name. I look at the 5 names that are on the top of our list right now. You've got McKenna, you've got Thomas Frank, you've got Tuchel, you've got Potter, you've got Southgate. They to me feel like the most realistic. Now, I know a lot of people will say, pay the money and get Inzaghi, pay the money and get Big Ange out of Tottenham. I don't think that's realistic. These managers are committed to where they are right now. And so I'll show my fan on, because this room gets so warm in the summer. So of those 5 that are currently the favourites with the bookmakers, if we just stick to those 5 names, as opposed to just plucking names that are not linked to the club, Tuchel is the top of the pile for me in the sense of his CV. However, the question mark over Thomas Tuchel is he going to, in the short term, medium and long term, be happy with not being in control and just being the coach of a team? Because that is how I think we're going to be setting up. If Tuchel isn't happy, his track record of falling out with board members makes it really difficult. If I then look at who's left, Potter, Thomas Frank, McKenna and Southgate, I then go Thomas Frank.
Oh.
Yeah. This is very interesting. Oh my God. Really?
That's so interesting. Really?
Oh my God. Are you serious? Can you unpack this a little bit?
I would go Thomas Frank before Graham Potter.
Why?
So I look at, again, I can't, although some Chelsea fans defend Graham Potter and they say the club was the issue in all of this, I think that holds a lot of water. The one element of Potter that frustrated me when he went to Chelsea was he changed his image, got the fade in the hair, started wearing the slick suits, and I worry whether he'd have another image crisis coming to Man United and would fail. So that's literally, by the way, here I'm splitting hairs because none of these candidates are like my actual favorites. So Thomas Frank slightly over Potter, then it would be Potter, then it would be McKenna, and then after those 4, I'd have a few spaces, and then a few more spaces, and then it'd be Southgate. So, my issue with Southgate, I mean, you actually could argue, barring Tuchel, he's probably more experienced than the rest, having managed England and the pressures that come with that. But it's his brand of football that puts me off more than anything else. The others, with Thomas Frank, he can play pragmatic when he has to. He can play really nice attacking football, excellent structure, brilliant man manager as well, wonders with a budget. I think as a head coach, not the guy signing people, with better players, he could perform. Graham Potter could do the same, but I just worry about the Chelsea experience having a hangover. My issue with Thomas Tuchel is, as I say, is he really genuinely going to be happy to just be a head coach and not have a say on who the players are that we buy? He gets told how to coach and isn't in control. I'm not sold that he wants that yet. Now, if the club announce he comes in and they announce the structure and they talk about it and that's what he's agreed to do and he's happy and on board, then Tuchel would be top. If he's not, then I would go Thomas Frank and Potter. So I've got a bit of an order to it, but none of those guys would be on my list. Does that make sense? None of those guys, if I wrote down my dream managers now, none of them would have been on the list.
Would you take Eddie Howe?
Yes. I mean, if Eddie Howe was added to that list, he'd be in there. I wouldn't cry about Eddie Howe. Again, the managers that we all know are like Simeone's, Inzaghi's as an example. These guys have been high up on my list the whole time. The problem is I don't feel they're attainable for us right now. So there is no point sitting there and screaming at my new ownership to say, go and get those managers. I don't think those guys want to come into our club right now. So there's no point wasting time and energy. It's like a dog chasing a car. You know, 1, you're probably not going to catch it. 2, what would you do with it if you did? You know, so we just need to be realistic at where we are, what needs to happen. But again, the only one I'm personally like dead set against is Gareth Southgate. It's the only one where it just doesn't fill me with any hope. The others I have hope for because there's good elements to them, but they all have question marks over them. So I'm just trying to be nice and balanced with my answer, if that makes sense.
So let's hope Man United get Southgate then. I think that makes
Yeah,
sense to us, bro.
That's the one I would be most worried and concerned about coming in. I really would be really worried and concerned about Southgate, but I'll stay true to what I've said.
Isn't it worried for you that McKenna's coming to the club with the same core of players instead of the Rashfords, the Bruno Fernandes, the Maguires are still there? Isn't it worrying for you a little bit that he's coming to the same guys where he left with Oli? Isn't that worrying for you a little bit?
Do you know what? Yes, it is to a degree. But again, I trust the football decision makers at the club. So I'm going to keep going back to this in the sense of I believe they're doing a complete thematic review of the club. So once that review is complete, I believe what will happen is they'll look at it and go, well, we know it was these 4 or 5 players that were the ones leaking the stories to the press that the coaching was rubbish. So as long as you're removing those players, you might already find, by the way, that story came out 3 years ago. You might find those players have already left the football club. And if those players have already left the football club, then it isn't so much a problem. But equally, the squad is going to be overhauled as well over the next couple of years. And I've said all along, the reason why I think a new manager is an important element, it isn't even about Ten Hag. It's a lot easier, I think, to bring in McKenna or Frank or Tuchel, anybody, and say, right, fresh start. But from this fresh start, there is no more Fran the manager under the bus. We will be sticking with the manager. I think it's easier to do that with a new person than it is to try and mend relationships at the same time as changing everything else. And it's just about the speed of turnaround, I think, would be quicker this way. So, of course, there is a worry about him returning with the stories that came out, but I just trust these football decisions. But I think a lot like you, Husam, I think you trust Edwards.
Yeah.
Although I think you trust Edwards. I think Liverpool would have a stronger squad now if Edwards would have stayed 2 or 3 years ago than you do right now. I'm very similar when it comes to the names and the caliber of individuals we're bringing in. And I'm just going to give them, I can't ask for people like that to come in and then be angry and question every single decision and micromanage them as a fan. There's an element where you've got to say, right, I've wanted people like this. I don't agree with every decision, but I'm going to let it cook. I'm going to let it grow. I'm going to let it develop before I give my assessment of it. If that
even
makes
if
sense.
they get Southgate.
Yes, I will still refrain from going mental about it.
Yeah. No, I'm not asking to go mental, but also I never have full blind trust in anyone, especially in football. Never. In my club, by the way, I never do that.
Yeah. It's not blind trust. As I'm saying, I will express my opinion. I'll say, don't like that player we signed or not happy with this managerial appointment. There's a difference between that and going scorched earth on the situation, as I feel some United fans will, if we don't sign a manager that they are over the moon with. You know, for me, this is all about building that foundation, which is key. There's so many Man United fans who are ignoring. I actually saw someone tweet back at KJ today saying, KJ, why do we need another new rebuild? We've only just done one. And there are some Man United fans who are still, it's either delusion or they're completely uneducated on the fact that there has not been a rebuild since Sir Alex left. We've just essentially built upon the shit that's been created after each manager, and it's an absolute cluster.
No, Man United definitely need a rebuild right now.
And we've not had one, and that's the craziest bit for me.
That's why McKenna might not be bad. It's just the step up that's the one thing. Like, it's just can the guy step up or no? That's it.
They need a process.
I agree. We have some super chats here. First one says, I will say this, though. What McKenna done and what Carrick has done puts to bed the stupid narratives that there was no coaching, just individual brilliance to bed. Now, listen, I agree. And some of that, both Carrick and McKenna have done very well at the start of their managerial careers. You know, Middlesbrough are in an absolute mess, and Carrick has stabilized them. What McKenna has done at Ipswich has been absolutely brilliant. So it certainly puts their inability to coach to bed, but there is a difference between being a good coach and being a good manager at a top 6 club. That question should be asked. To be honest, I think Carrick will do a good job, in my opinion. His short stint after Ollie was pretty good. Plus, he's a former United player. See, Michael Carrick's someone that I'm not married to the idea of always bringing back ex-players to be your coaches. But again, I'd love Carrick to grow as a manager and become good enough to manage Man United one day, because if they're good enough, there's a romance to that of a former player coming home to help you win trophies. So I'd love it to happen, but I wouldn't want him here just because he's Michael Carrick. Chelsea fan here, lads. First off, big up the panel. On Tuchel, he's actually never wanted control. He just wants to coach and will make do with what he has.
God's will. I love the fact that as soon as you mentioned Thomas Tuchel, every single Chelsea fan will just come to his defense directly. Listen, you guys might remember the Champions League, but we actually remember the whole thing because we're not emotionally attached to the guy. We remember Dinamo Zagreb. We remember all the fights he had. We remember the players that he wanted to sign. We remember his absolutely trash talent ID. So there are multiple reasons why you wouldn't want a Thomas Tuchel, to be honest with you. And by the way, Bayern have won 12 league titles in a row. Until who? Finish the sentence. Thomas Tuchel.
They should leave McKenna and Ipswich alone for this season. See how he gets on next season in the Premier League. Listen, Ken, I also think that's a fair shout. Your point cannot be argued with. Well, it can be argued with, but it doesn't mean your point doesn't hold water. You could argue if he comes in and does brilliantly next year, he becomes more sought after, and maybe Man United are maybe a team that's in a better position than us comes in for him, and you go, we watched the parade go by. That's the risk of not getting him now. Arsenal were famous for this with players. They didn't quite get. They turned down Yaya and Zlatan and Mbappe and Ronaldo because do you know what? We'll give it a year, see how he does. We're not going to pay that much now, and they ended up regretting it a lot. So it holds water, Kelly. I think we'll see what happens. I agree with McKenna way down the line, but currently every high caliber manager would struggle because of the size of the rebuild at United. But maybe that's why it works. Maybe McKenna lowers expectations, and in the short term, lower expectations are probably needed. They're just, my brother started back in the gym recently, and I say my brother started back in the gym. My brother hasn't lifted weights probably for about 15 plus years. And he's had a few days, and I'm going to share this story because he doesn't show his face on this, so he'll never feel embarrassed. But he was I could see him getting embarrassed in the gym. I'm like, what's the matter? Some of these young lads in here are quite skinny and small, and they're lifting more than me. And I'm like, bro, you can't come in here and start looking at what other people are doing and let it get in your head so you stop lifting. I said, I'm nowhere near I'm not even that strong, but I said, I'm nowhere near as strong as I was. I said, but it will come back. And I said, my development will be quicker than yours because of muscle memory. I said, you've got to lower your expectations to begin with and slowly build to that standard. And I think that's the same in all walks of life. Do you know what you're doing there, though? See, when you do that to your arm, everybody's arm looks bigger when they do that, bro. Do you know what I mean? Let's see it straight.
You just did it. It doesn't look like mine. Just saying.
I'm all right. I'll be back there soon. I'll be back there soon. Chike here says, big up Terry, Don, and man like Mo. Terry, would you take Big Ange at United? Also, Terry, you're looking great. What does your diet mainly consist of? The diet stuff, so much, it's as many whole foods as possible. So for breakfast today, I literally just had eggs and veg for breakfast. And then lunchtime, I actually had some feta cheese and some beetroot, which was really quite nice. And then tonight, I'll have some fish with some salad or with some more vegetables and probably 4 or 5 boiled eggs. It's kind of like clean, healthy foods. I'm taking Brickhouse Nutrition, so I'm taking those drinks throughout the course of the day. I'm having 2 or 3 of them, and then just exercising. And I'm getting there. The weight, in fairness, I was 107 kilos when I started eating good and training like 3.5 weeks ago. I'm down to like 100 kilos now. So 7 kilos in 2 weeks have fallen off. And I'm aiming to try and get rid of 2.5 to 3 kilos a week for a period. And then I stop looking at weight. Then I look at inches. So I don't care how much I weigh. I just want my waist to be at 32, basically, and then everything else just as defined as possible.
Settings. That's what I'll tell you.
And would I take Big Ange? Yes, I would. McKenna
I would as well now after the last press conference. I love
what he stands for. McKenna becomes the manager, and it shows that INEOS is not serious. Why give the biggest rebuild in football the job to someone who is this inexperienced?
Can I just say something to Patrick? I want to say something to Patrick. Patrick, you've always super chatted the terrace and you've always got involved in the United section specifically, obviously, because you're a United fan. I actually think this is accurate. I think if Patrick thinks this way, he has every right to think this way, because inexperience and him feeling the pressure of managing Man United are two completely different things. Yes, he got Ipswich back-to-back promotions. I asked Terry, would you take Eddie Howe? And his answer was also the same. So he kept the same energy for Eddie Howe and McKenna, because Eddie Howe done back-to-back promotions too, I believe. I think he did do it with Bournemouth when he was managing them. So I think, look, here's the thing. This is genuinely the biggest doubt over McKenna. Because managing Ipswich and managing Man United come with two different worlds of pressure. This is the reality.
Patrick, I think Patrick exactly is why I'm saying Man United fans sometimes need to look at themselves and see where they are. You aren't getting Zidane, Habibi. Patrick, with all due respect, you aren't getting Zidane, you aren't getting Simeone, you aren't. You're going to get Southgate, Graham Potter, Thomas Frank, McKenna. Again, another Man United fan, with all due respect, Patrick, that you think I deserve better. I deserve better than this because I'm big Man United.
Yeah, do you know what I would say, Patrick? I understand that the comment. I understand where you're coming from. That it shows that the INEOS are not serious. At the same time, we have at times gone after the best managers available and the best possible players available that we could sign in the last 10 years, and that hasn't worked either. So I'm open for a different approach. I'm open-minded that the people now making decisions at our club on the football level have a lot more insight and a lot more knowledge than we do. Doesn't mean we can't criticize, doesn't mean we can't have opinions, doesn't mean we can't critique, but it does just means for me, I'm going to sit back and I'm not going to, this is what I mean, but Patrick, and you are entitled to do it, and I'm never going to shut this down on the football terrace, but for me, I'm not going to make statements this early of they're not serious. I'm going to give it time to develop. But I know Patrick well, he's a long-time viewer of the show. I'm sure if it goes the other way and it's successful, he'll say, he'll be a proper man, and just say, I got it wrong, rather than running agendas. So there we go. Patrick also here says, as soon as stuff goes bad, if it's McKenna, the first thing will be said is he has no experience for the job. Look at how people view Ten Hag, Dutch and Champions League experience. But I think this is the thing, though, Patrick. Whoever we bring in, if it goes wrong, there'll be something. If we bring Zidane in, if Zidane comes to Man United and it goes wrong, it will be, see, it was Ronaldo and Benzema and Mudryk that carried him. Look how many years Pep had thrown at him. He can only win the Champions League with Messi. So if the greatest have things leveled at them of that sort, it's going to happen to anyone that comes in. I don't think, I get where you're coming from with McKenna, but it's not going to be specific to him. Any manager that comes in, barring if we got Pep or Klopp, which is impossible, is going to have big question marks and things leveled at them, especially if it doesn't work out. God's Will here says, okay, Husam, I know I'm defending him, just stating his words at Chelsea after he helped us through whilst a sanction mess. But God's Will, where I agree with you is I've heard rumors that he just wants to be a head coach. But that just goes against some of the arguments I've read about him having, where he's been, I suppose, being frustrated at the direction of the football club is potentially different from not wanting to have a say. But if you don't like the players that the club is buying, that tells me that you don't just want to be a head coach. So there's a contradiction in the reports. So for me, it's a case of, if he's fully bought into just being the head coach and being told what to do, then I'm up for Tuchel. If he isn't and he wants more of an input, it's going to fall down, because it has done for 10 years like that. Mo, this Red Devil says, Mo, you fraud. With what multiple Ballon d'Or winning managers of Inter were you talking about when trying to downplay United? You are not bigger than United. You have two players. With Ballon d'Ors. United have 4.
You have 2, I think. Cristiano Ronaldo and Bobby Charlton. That's what you have.
Dennis Law won it, and I think
When?
Bestie won it as well. Dennis Law. I want to say, I might get this slightly wrong. I've got a feeling that Dennis Law and Best and Charlton won it like 3 consecutive years, or around the same time. But that was before it was called the Ballon d'Or. I think it was called the European Footballer of the Year back then. I don't think the Ballon d'Or existed, but it's what it became.
Okay, George Best and Dennis Law, 64 and 68.
Yeah, and then I think Charlton won it and Cristiano
Man
won it.
United fans are triggered because I said Inter are bigger than Man United.
He said it yesterday on Rahwa. That's
Oh
why.
my God!
Did you? Oh, did you? Well, you're not, are you? But
Man United.
Man, big Man United, yes. But big up Red Devils for the
big up Red
Super
Devil for calling
Big
him out
up
on his
for-
fraudulence. Inter bigger than Man United. Do me a favor. better than us right now, though, but not bigger. Mo, I would take Frank, Potter, and Howe. I think the step up for someone just promoted is too much. Frank actually suits this current squad. You know what, Patrick? Again, though, I respect your opinion because he's not talking about we have to go and get the best in the world.
Clarify, yes.
I think,
Clarifying is great. Thank you, Patrick, for clarifying, because I have heard a lot of people of Man United saying why we can't get the top managers. We need the top. I'm like
those fans
big up Patrick for that.
Those fans listen to the wrong people when it comes to Man United that talk like we're still top of the tree and don't understand the situation we're in. KJ here behind the scenes here says, use the Liers quote, we cannot cheat the process. We need a full reset with a manager who is brought in to the plan and will work with the structure. I agree, and we've cheated every process and rebuild so far, and that's why we've ended up being in the gutter. And almost like every single manager that gets sacked, the position they leave us in ends up being worse than the previous person, and that's because we're building upon crap all the time, you know, and you need to rip it all out, burn it all down, and start again from fresh. Isn't that just protecting United from negative narratives, not organic to tell fans not to show bums? You could argue that I'm protecting United from a negative narrative, and I think fans have a responsibility sometimes to try and control the narrative around their club as best they can. But it's not so much about, like, if somebody wants to kick off and go mad about Southgate, they're free to. I'm just personally not going to do that. If Dizzy comes on here and wants to rant about it, he won't be told you can't do it on the terrace. If KJ, who works for us, wants to slag off what we're doing, I won't stop him. I'm just giving you my personal opinion and approach. That isn't to suggest that everybody should do it, whether I agree with it or not. But yes, I mean, but do I want to protect Man United? At the beginning of this rebuild, yes, because it's like a baby. And as children get older, you give them less and less protection. But in the beginning, in the formative years, in the early years, you protect them more because they're more fragile and vulnerable. And Man United at the beginning of this rebuild, it's more vulnerable. It's easier to break at the beginning. So yes, I would like to protect my football club because I love them. So it's okay to say process now. It's always been okay with me. I have no personal issue with it whatsoever. Because it's just a word. People say it's a buzzword. It's a buzzword if Liverpool try and use it this year. Liverpool are not at the beginning of a brand new, fresh rebuilding process. It's a new manager taking over a title challenging team with the likes of Edward running the show. They should be expected to challenge. They can't say we're in a new 4-year, 5-year process to get back to challenging. They're not in that space. City, if Pep leaves in 2 weeks' time, he won't, but if he does, and they bring in Zidane as their manager, it's not the beginning of a new process. It's going to take 3 or 4 years to get you back to title contention. It's a fundamental difference. You have to look at the starting position of clubs and where they were at. Listen, people, make sure you hit the like and the share buttons. There's a lot to talk about when it comes to last night, but I actually wanted to start with Spurs. I wanted to start with Tottenham before we get onto the VAR stuff and the media shamelessly bringing up City's charges. Ange Postecoglou has slammed Tottenham fans, saying there is a problem with the foundations inside and outside the football club. We've seen him kicking off with fans in the stadium for celebrating Tottenham losing. And he is essentially saying that having those low standards, not looking at winning yourselves and sort of being stuck in the tribalism is part of the problem that Tottenham Hotspur have. Husam, what is your take on this big argument and Spurs' mentality being slammed?
I think, when it comes to the situation with Ange Postecoglou, I'm actually going to make a 180-degree turn right now. I'm going to make an apology publicly to Ange Postecoglou. I'm going to say, I'm sorry to Ange. You're actually not the problem because, I sat here and I criticized Ange for... Listen, some of the football criticisms I stick by. Playing a high line against Chelsea, I think is essentially, with 9 men. That's just a death wish, sorry. But I sent Terry a video earlier on of what Conte said, what Mourinho said, and what Ange Postecoglou said. And there's huge similarities in the concepts, in the theories, in everything that they are saying. And, when it comes to Ange Postecoglou, he's kind of been literally, speaking to the Spurs fans and the ones who just keep talking about bragging rights and all that. I mean, Spurs have finished above Arsenal over the last 6-7 years multiple times. Does that give them any bragging rights? As he said, there's no bragging rights trophy. I actually think Ange is now not the problem. Ange is the solution. And I think him coming out and saying the foundations from within are a problem shows that there's actually much bigger problems than we actually even think. And the reality is, when you look at the Spurs team, let's look at their managers over the last 10 years or so. Let's look at their managers. Pochettino, Nuno Santo, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, Ange Postecoglou. All 5 are probably better than the Arsenal managers over the last 10 years, the United managers over the last 10 years, probably since Sir Alex, and maybe even equal level to the Chelsea managers or whatever, but they haven't won anything. And this shows that there is a problem, and there is a deep lying problem within Tottenham Hotspur, and this is the reality. And as he says, when he walks through the walls at Tottenham Hotspur, he doesn't see bragging rights trophies. He doesn't see we finished above Arsenal trophies. He sees actual trophies. He mentioned Bill Nicholson, from 80 years ago as the one that's still there, and there's a reason for that. And I think Ange Postecoglou actually called out his fan base for everything wrong with them. And I'll say this right now, and I'll be completely honest about it. There is a difference between not wanting Arsenal to win the league and celebrating a team scoring a goal against you. Those are 2 completely different things. Spurs fans at the stadium saying, stand up if you hate Arsenal, turning around and doing the Poznan and essentially wearing city scarves, I think that is literally epitomizes the problem at Tottenham Hotspur. And by the way, this wasn't even a club that has nothing to fight for, because despite what Dan tried to shamelessly say yesterday and Harry, sorry, when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur, they did have top 4 to fight for. Now, some people might say top 4 is not blah, 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 and top 4 is not a trophy. Yeah, you're right, top 4 is not a trophy. But as Terry said, when it comes to foundations, top 4 might be the foundation to you getting those 2-3 world-class players that help you win trophies, that help you take it over the edge. And with all due respect, Aston Villa go to Crystal Palace away next. And Palace have been in good form. They could have won that game. So they had something themselves to fight for. And even you could tell, by the way, the players themselves, you could tell Ainge had them ready for the game, because they actually, Kulusevski got him behind, Son got him behind, even Brennan Johnson got him behind, but they failed to take their chances. They failed to take their opportunities, and they could have scored the goals. And I think there is a fundamental issue at Tottenham Hotspur, and its mentality. That is the absolute biggest fundamental problem, whether it comes from the fan base, whether it comes from Daniel Levy, whether it comes from the ownership. But now we have realized it's not Ainge's problem anymore. Because yesterday's press conference, you could see he was seething. And if I'm a Spurs fan, I'll be shitting myself right now. I'll tell you why. Because Ainge never said it's just the outside. He said on the inside. As soon as he said the problems are also on the inside, it shows that there's a much bigger problem. Could there have been Spurs players who wanted to not win yesterday?
Are you wrong about Ainge then?
Could it have been that Daniel Levy didn't want to win yesterday? There are multiple different things that there's a possibility that from within the foundations are flawed. And this is where Tottenham Hotspur fail always.
Are you wrong about Ainge? Are you wrong about Ainge, Husam? So were you wrong about Ainge?
I'm wrong about Ainge.
Okay.
100%.
I want to read you guys.
Actually, I love what he said yesterday. I watched the whole press conference.
I want to read some comments that Spurs fans have put out, quote tweeting what Ange just said. The first here says he just doesn't get it. He's absolutely no idea about the hatred that comes with a rivalry. I've never owned a Sharp TV because of Manchester United. That's a fragile mentality. I mean, this is true. When I lived in Manchester and worked there, I used to sell phones in a phone shop. And Man City fans, most of them wouldn't get a phone that was on a Vodafone contract because they sponsored Manchester United. Now, I understand that to a certain degree, because you don't want to give money to a sponsor that's giving money to the football club that you're trying to compete against. That makes sense. But Spurs were playing for something. Yes, if Spurs were 8th, nothing to play for, again, I think it would be different. But yesterday they were celebrating at the same time that it was confirmed that they were not going to be in the Champions League. Another fan here has said, remember, Ange, this club was founded in 1882. You're incredibly important to how we progress now, and I'm looking forward to next season. But you're just passing through. We are in it for life. How can we choose to support a club? How we choose to support a club is down to us and us alone. Another guy then said, we support the club the way in which we want. you are responsible for us not having enough points up until this stage, so don't blame us for this one loss. And firstly, I just, part of me just thinks, I understand rivalry, I understand tribalism, I get it. I get it at a national, I get it at a club level, and I get it at international level. I also competed for my country. And yes, when you'd be up against, whenever I fought against a French guy or a German guy, there's always a little bit more animosity there, because sporting wise, France, England, Germany have these huge rivalries. But this is different, in my opinion. It's the attitude of celebrating your team losing is different from not wanting Arsenal to win the league. I don't know how you see it. I know you're an Inter fan, Mo, but if it was the other way around last night, if you were playing against if Inter Milan could make the Champions League with a win, if you do win, it means that AC Milan are going to win the league. Would you rather forfeit an opportunity of winning the Champions League next year at the behest of AC Milan? Do you get where Spurs fans are coming from?
This is where both of you are wrong, actually. I actually see where every Spurs fan is coming from. And I said that on my show. I actually think I'm gonna flip it to you guys. If Arsenal are playing Aston Villa and Spurs are about to win the league, Arsenal fan would willingly accept the loss. And I'm not talking about the players, because Husam is calling out the fans. Players are different, right? Arsenal fans would accept the loss against Aston Villa because they have no rivalry with Aston Villa for Spurs not to win the league. And anyone that says otherwise actually is not telling the truth, is saying what makes them sleep well at night again. And my majority of the people that say what Husam is saying are the people that didn't want City to win the league, because they want to put it on that Spurs didn't play. It's copium. It's absolutely copium. The facts are that Spurs fans completely convinced. There are three types of Spurs fans. Number one, the people that are convinced that they aren't going to make Champions League, that Aston Villa only needed a draw in the last day of the Premier League and they don't have a chance. The second part is that the people that think that Champions League is going to hurt their club genuinely. And by the way, that has been said. You agree or disagree with them before them even making Champions League or not. Someone like Jacob said that. Like, that is before this game. So it's not them saying it because of this game. And I understand these people. I disagree with them, but I understand them. This is their point of view. And I actually think they are right. If losing to Man City means that Arsenal don't win the Premier League, it's their right to feel this way. It's not that they are losing a competition for it. They aren't losing a competition. Let me finish.
Okay, yeah.
But calling out the players and saying that Son missed on purpose, that's different. I am not in Son's intention. Now you're calling Son's integrity. Now you're calling young men's Son's morals. That's different. Now you're calling the players cheats because they aren't. That's called match fixing, people. People go to jail for this, for match fixing. That's different than a fan celebrating.
Yeah.
I am with fans.
So Mo, I agree with you that I don't think Son missed that chance on purpose. I think Spurs' players and the manager tried to win yesterday. 110%. I agree. I understand with not wanting Arsenal to win the league. Yeah. And there are comments that have come in here, and this one from Cal, long-standing member, a good friend of the channel, says, I don't think we can win the Champions League, though I've said it countless times. But it isn't just about what you do next year. I think we've all agreed on a consensus in the football terrace community that Arsenal were never going to win the Champions League this year because this squad and team lacks experience. But how do you gain that experience is by being in the Champions League as regularly as possible. Very few teams in the modern day era get into it for the first time and win it. When Chelsea were already in it before they got the money from Roman, but then they were in it regularly, it took them years to win it. City have had money and ambition for 10, 12 years before they won it. It took time to build up the resilience and the experience of being in the competition. If you want to get to the very top, you have to put your club first in that way. And I understand the element of, I'm really glad Arsenal haven't won the league. I'm not saying that element of tribalism should go. But I was in a position for weeks building up to the Man United game where I was like, yeah, I'd be happy for us to lose. It got to very close to the game, and my mind, I couldn't do it. I could not bring myself to want my team to lose. It just didn't compute with me. It didn't feel right. But then I'm the same type of person. I can't put another club shirt on my skin. I can't put another nation's shirt on me. That makes me feel like a cheater. That makes me feel physically sick. So, but that's because it's that for me. Like when people go out and buy a PSG shirt, I feel like what they're doing is they're financially supporting a team that's trying to better you. I don't understand the logic of giving them any money. That's different from, I don't see that as the same as hoping something happens. I hoped that anybody other than City won the league this season because that 4P is a piece of history that I don't want to see happen. But at the same time, I've never wanted my team to lose. I wouldn't start doing the Poznan in the stadium. And I think the manager, and this is where I look at it from a different angle, I think Ange Postecoglou so far in his career has been a winner and he's got a winner's mentality. Winners don't agree with what Spurs fans did. Typically speaking, just losers have. And I always look at it, if the winners are saying, no, you shouldn't do this, your mentality should be different. Liverpool Football Club, they went a long time without winning the Prem, but they still won trophies. The way they performed on the final day of the season against Blackburn and beat them, they gave Man United a chance of winning the league. But that's because Liverpool Football Club, even though they didn't win the league for a number of years, they were still winning FA Cups and League Cups and European trophies. They were a club that's built upon winning. So their mentality is, no, we try our best to win every single game. You're not going to win every game, but you go out there on that pitch and you give your all every single step of the way. And that mentality is built over time. And that mentality that's built over time is what leads to all those trophies. I think when you start saying, right, we can turn it off this game or we can turn it off that game, it's okay not to win here. I think the message that sends into your football club is that we don't need to win. And it's a subtle message, but over the course of time, those subtle messages can become quite potent. So I get Spurs fans being happy Arsenal haven't won the league. That I agree with. But the whole week build up to the game, sending emails in, please don't win, wearing City shirts. I just felt like some people went too far.
And maybe they went too far, but
by the way, is fundamentally wrong with something.
And
One second more. Guy is fundamentally wrong.
Sorry, hold on.
No one thought that Pochettino and Tottenham Hotspur are going to get to a Champions League final. No one ever thought that. At the start of the Champions League campaign, if I came on the football terrace and said, guys, Pochettino and Spurs are going to get to a Champions League final, everyone would have been like, ha, 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 and laughed at my face. Last year, the same Ange Postecoglou side right now, if they were on the Inter side of the draw, where they played Benfica and Porto and AC Milan, what's stopping them from getting to a Champions League final? You don't know for a fact that you cannot be in a position to win a Champions League final.
No, I agree.
Even look at this season. Bayern are beatable. Bayern and Arsenal were on one side, you know, and you look at the other side's a lot weaker.
I think you're just
PSG.
I think this is Lily White. Hang on a second. I want to go to some of the comments here. Lily White says, so you're saying that we've got a loser mentality because we didn't want Arsenal to win. No, not wanting Arsenal to win is fine. You're not listening. You guys celebrated the very moment that your season ended and you missed out on a really good opportunity of playing in the biggest cup competition in the world. The same as this comment here says, as a City fan, we have won everything, and I would happily lose to Spurs if it meant wet Trafford and Man U didn't win the league. I don't care. But it isn't just about losing. It's would you say like City, you're still a very good team and you're sitting in fifth and you've got to win to keep your Champions League hopes alive. You would sacrifice a season in the Champions League to stop Man United from winning? I don't think Man City Football Club would.
Yeah, but you're making it as if they won this game, they would have made the Champions League. I think that's when you both
They might do. They might do. Do you want to know why it isn't wrong? Do you want to know it isn't wrong, right? I remember once watching an interview with Roger Federer. And Roger Federer won a game at Wimbledon where he was 2 sets down and he was facing a match point. And he carried on fighting and he got it back to deuce and he ended up winning that game, ended up winning that set, and he went on to win 3-2. And someone asked him a question like, how did you keep fighting when the game was essentially lost? You were down, you'd up the match point, you hadn't won a set yet. And he said, well, you just don't give up, do you? You don't give up, you keep fighting because anything is possible. And no, it isn't different. That is how winners think. So if Spurs had a winning mentality, it would be this. It would be, do you know what? Let's go out there and try and win. Because if we do win, anything can happen between Aston Villa and Crystal Palace on Sunday. Anything can happen in that game. And we could find ourselves in the Champions League next year. Spurs have improved this season. I think they've faded towards the end because of their squad. If they have another good summer under Big Ange and improve this squad again, they could be an even better team next year and be in the Champions League. That is not beyond the realm. And a lot of these Spurs fans that are defending this mentality are the same Spurs fans like Dan who really rate their team and really rate their manager. So the people that I see really rate their team and manager are celebrating not being in the biggest comp. It's the giving up. So if, like I've said, if they were sitting 8th and nothing to play for, it wouldn't make much difference. But it was the way they had people sending letters into the club begging for the game to be thrown away. And Kate agrees with us as a Spurs fan here. She went, it's such a sad reflection of Spurs' team and fan base that our season is defined by stopping our rivals winning something. That's embarrassing. And Bill Nicholson would turn in his grave.
I want you to now to tell Arsenal fans that they still have a chance of winning the league.
They do. So I'll give you. Hang on a minute.
Husam, do you think that as well? Do you think, Husam? I want you straight face to the camera. Tell Arsenal fans exactly. Turn off your camera. Tell Arsenal fans with a straight face to the camera that they still have a good chance of winning the league.
No, you've changed it now to good chance. Good chance or chance?
Good chance.
No, not a good chance. I haven't got a good chance.
What's the percentage of Arsenal winning the league?
Okay, but hang on a minute though. So this is what I want to challenge what you're saying, because now you're changing the variable.
I am not.
Hang on.
Yes, you are.
Hang on. So good chance to good chance is a changing variable. This is the difference. What's more likely on Sunday? Man City beating West Ham at home, or Aston Villa going away to inform Crystal Palace and winning? Which of the two is more likely?
And drawing.
Okay, so no. Ask me which is more likely.
Man City winning against West Ham.
Yes. So there is a very thin chance Arsenal can still win the league, but there would have been a better chance of Spurs making the Champions League had they won last night.
But very small as well.
And it's still small, but you keep it alive. When Arsenal lost that game to Villa, season done. Yes, but you can't fall away now. You keep fighting until the very end. That is how you develop a winning mentality.
Yes,
every single manager, every single athlete at the highest level advocates for that way of thinking.
But
how the hell are we disagreeing with all the winners?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you. I think there is something that you guys are misunderstanding completely. There is another debate to convince Spurs team that Champions League is better for them. I have sat on shows with Spurs fans telling me they're wrong.
But they're wrong. We've had that debate on other shows. They're just wrong. It's wrong.
I don't think the players. I think if the fans don't want Arsenal to win the league, that's fine with me.
That isn't what we're arguing. We're not arguing about what their fans want. It's a celebration of your team losing and ending an opportunity that can help.
They aren't celebrating losing. You're twisting the word.
No, they did celebrate losing. They celebrated losing.
Celebrating Arsenal not winning that. I think you're twisting the word. And instead of saying it this way,
Mo, but you're not listening to my point. They're doing this defeat. Yes, it stops Arsenal, but simultaneously ends their season. Like I've said,
it does.
If they were 8th playing for nothing and it happened, I think everyone would accept it. But they've missed out on something. That makes no sense. Now,
the only thing I agree with you, can I just say one thing? The only thing I agree with you is that some people took it too far, like people wearing
City scarves. Come on,
that's different. Hold on. That is way too far. That is way too far.
For me, that bit is less of an issue than celebrating your team not making the Champions League and advancing. It's not a good look, and I wouldn't do it. But like someone here says, Terry, can you also call Arsenal fans out who made badges? That was a little bit of fun. Arsenal weren't hoping for something that was going to hurt their club. There's a fundamental difference. It is not the same. Let's do some super chats here. This here says Spurs lost the game before this one. Why are we acting like they could win? But they could have won last night. They played well last night. They could have won. Imagine if their fans were behind them. Imagine every time they got a corner, it went silent. Imagine if their fans were behind them. It could have been even better.
Didn't give a fuck. That is true.
Now you policing fans when we saw it's not about policing fans. Please, African. This is coming from winners and elite level sports people that are saying that mentality shown is what stops you from progressing. That's not, you can call it policing fans if you want, but I want to listen to the winners, bruv. Like if Elon Musk tells you how to run a business, you listen to him, right? If Joe Rogan tells you how to create a good podcast, you listen, right? Do you know what I'm saying? If Adele tells you how to sing a song, you listen. If Tom Brady says this is how you throw a football properly, you listen, right? So when elite athletes forever say that wanting to fail to improve, to stop somebody else winning is a bad mentality that leads to more failure, I'm listening to them. Not, though, if they were sitting 8th and already failed. Fundamental difference.
So all you guys cared about is that you think they had a chance. Okay, so the argument, before you go on, the argument here is that you two think that it's better for them to make Champions League and they should fight for that chance. But you guys would have, so hold on. So you guys would agree. So let me just establish the point here. So you guys would agree, if Spurs wasn't playing for anything, you guys would agree that they would okay with them losing and everything. Is that what I'm hearing here?
Yes, to a certain degree, absolutely. Because it's not even about whether
as long as the sport integrity is maintained, you know.
Yeah, but I am not talking about the players, Husam. I will never sit here and talk about the players, Husam. I will never do that. That's
You're saying about the fans?
Habibi. Yeah,
the way I view it is this. The way I view it is this, right? They still had an opportunity of progressing themselves as a club. Imagine I'm playing the tennis match, and if I win, I've got to go up against Djokovic. But the guy I'm facing's got more chance of beating Djokovic, and I really don't want Djokovic to win Wimbledon. But I'm doing really well in this game. Imagine I don't make sure I throw that game just because I'm thinking, right, I'll make sure I'll go out. I'll stop playing well so this guy beats me. So there's more chance Djokovic doesn't win this tournament, as opposed to trying to progress yourself. That, for me, is not how winners think, and I think it's wrong. Aston Villa are going to Crystal Palace, who are playing way better than them. City are playing at home to West Ham. So what is this comparison? Is what Kevin said.
Terry explained that. Terry explained.
Yeah.
That's more special.
Mo's logic: nobody will win because of a percentage.
Come on, be realistic.
I don't know what you mean by that. City initiate talks to bring back Frimpong. Yeah, I've seen that already.
Yes.
Terry Husam, you might support the two biggest teams in the UK, but you don't understand the hatred between Spurs and Arsenal. It's bigger than Man United, Liverpool. Well, I don't believe that it is.
No, it's not.
I don't believe that it is. And if Man United had the chance of Champions League football, but if we won the game, Liverpool would win the league, I would not want my team to lose. Facts. If Spurs lose to Sheffield United, they could finish 7th in the Conference League, and West Ham could draw, meaning it was all for nothing. Yeah, I mean, imagine. I don't think it will happen, but imagine it did. I don't believe it will happen, but as an Arsenal fan, I would absolutely love West Ham to win, and then Spurs fans did all this twerking for nothing, is what Eduardo says.
That would be beautiful.
I agree with Ange. Winning a match is the most important thing. However, playing a higher line with 9 men and throughout the season, Ange valued his principles more than winning. So he can't then be all about winning. I think
the principles will lead him to win eventually.
Yeah, I think he believes if we stick with these principles and they keep backing me and we keep improving the squad, then we'll start winning. So I think he sees it that way as well. I do get your challenge, though, Zayn. I do get your challenge. There's context, Mo. If it's Chelsea, I'd understand their fans, but it's Spurs. They don't win anything. They should want their team to progress.
That's what I thought. It's okay for Chelsea, but not okay for Spurs.
Not good for anyone. I have the most respect for Mo, but he's trying to be different, but sometimes doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I said that yesterday. I'm not trying to be different. You accusing me of being trying to be different. I said that yesterday, by the way.
This here says, from a Liverpool fan, United last season and Liverpool last season had better seasons than Arsenal. As you like to remind us, second place, no trophy means nothing. That doesn't in terms of trophies. You're absolutely right. But I guarantee Man United fans would rather swap with Arsenal right now in terms of how good they are at football. Mo, you're overcomplicating it. I don't think
Maybe I am. Maybe I am. I'm actually simplifying it.
Should Arsenal have given up when they lost to Villa? Absolutely not.
No,
it's a loser's mentality. And managed Celtic. The Glasgow Old Firm is one of the bitter rivalries. Fans saying he doesn't get rivalries is ridiculous. Of course not.
I agree.
Of course
he
not.
Gets rivalries.
All those fans, and he's an Australian. Trust me, he'll have a big rivalry with England. He'll get rivalry. All those fans that begged City to save football when Liverpool were threatening. We are all, where are they now? City domination. Hope you're happy. I've been warning this for years.
Try to tell people.
Big Ange is Australian. Trust me, he gets rivalry. It's Spurs fans that don't. The Australian mentality. Aussies hate losing. They certainly do. Huge respect to Husam for his speech yesterday. The 4th title for City is a blot on the titles of Liverpool and Man United. United's past. It's not about City. It's what they represent. Manufactured success is what's been
Yeah, and
said.
people spend the whole time just telling me, oh, Igal is going to be annoying. Yeah, but no one cares about Igal, bro. We're talking about like the institution. I'm talking about Manchester City, the institution.
I agree.
Not a fan being annoying.
I'm a Packers fan. If the Packers winning a game meant Chicago Bears make the NFL playoffs, I'd still want the Packers to win regardless. But especially if that game of the Packers winning also meant you'd make the playoffs, you'd never want to not be there, would you? It'd be crazy. It'd be crazy. We'll come back to some more super chats in a little bit. There was some controversy surrounding the game after the match. And it was something a lot of people saying to me, Terry, the first goal was offside. The first goal was offside. And I didn't really react to it. I said, no, it wasn't. I mean, VAR obviously checked it. But there's a lot of footage that's gone around claiming that Arsenal were robbed, Spurs were robbed. And there's one picture that's got lines drawn on it very accurately that show that KDB was offside. There's a reverse angle picture from the exact same moment that's now been released that Sky Sports didn't show, or the TV companies didn't show live, that makes him look offside. What's your view on this, Mo? Is this sour grapes from Arsenal fans, or do you think there is the chance here that VAR has made a mistake again with their lines?
There's no controversy. Like, listen, in my opinion, I'm not going to go into conspiracy theory. It looked offside to me earlier. It looked offside, and I don't want to say things that it's about conspiracy and all this stuff. Normally, this is how it goes, and I'm gonna let Husam go. Normally, this is how it goes. The people that produces the Premier League games know what was trending. Once that goal scored, offside word was trending. Normally, what happens in games, 2-3 minutes later, you would see the image of the lines come back. They would tell the people, we need the lines to shush everybody, to silence people. But 2-3 minutes went in, and that thing died, and the game restarted like 30 seconds after. And I haven't seen the picture of shushing me or shushing everyone that it's not offside. That happens in Liverpool game. That happened in every. You remember when they made the mistake in Liverpool game? They never showed the picture. Do you know why? Because they knew the mistake happened, so they didn't want controversy. You know what I mean? Normally, that happens in games everywhere. In Italy, by the way, that happens when they do something wrong. They don't show the pictures because there is no evidence that we're right. If there was, I want now the PGMOL, and I don't know if this offside or not. This image is not or not. I want this image. I want the PGMOL to show me the lines that were drawn, because every goal is checked in the VAR room, and I want to release the communication between the referees, right, to tell us how did they come up to this decision. And it's very simple. I'm not accusing the PGMOL of anything. I am not sitting here and telling you it was offside or not. All I want, as you released the Arsenal free kick in Newcastle, the penalty about Odegaard's handball, the Liverpool thing, the mistake you made, I want to release the audio, tell the world it was not offside. You're all are deluded. We didn't make a mistake. There was no catastrophic error. This was offside, and you're all deluded. Show us the lines and show us the audio. Release it, PGMOL. It's a simple. I don't know if it was offside or not. It looked borderline. I don't know. It looked borderline. That's it.
I'm gonna say this.
Yeah.
I've been calling this out since August. No one interrupt me, because I'm about to lay the smackdown on this crap refereeing association. Whether people like it or not, the referees have played a role in determining who the Premier League champion is. Fact. No one can deny this. Doku delivered the sweet chin music to McAllister in the chin right in front of the goalkeeper, and a penalty, and right in front of the referee, and a penalty was not given. Yes, that goal is offside. 100% it's offside. I'm not saying City don't deserve to win the Premier League. I'm not saying any of that stuff. But City are the one club this whole season that have not had a single big decision go against them. They have not had a single big decision go against them in a big game. Now, some people might mention the Haaland advantage or the Grealish advantage against Spurs, but you know, all the Spurs centre backs are quicker than Grealish anyway, and they would have caught up to him. So it's not really anything, conspiracy like penalties and offsides and stuff like that. Let me give you the prime example when I first called this out. Onana had the Crystal Palace player dance in front of his face but the Anderson goal was given. Manchester City play Fulham. Akanji was breakdancing in front of the Fulham goalkeeper, and the goal stood because City have different rules apply to them whether you like it or not. Go watch back this season. Kovacic was not sent off away at Arsenal. If you guys remember, at the time, Rodri was suspended, I think, for 3 games or so. Rodri didn't even play in that game. If Kovacic got sent off, maybe they have to play someone else in midfield. Maybe it affects them furthermore as well in terms of the decisions. Manchester City this whole season have got away with all the refereeing decisions. 100 million% have gotten away with all the refereeing decisions. VAR are afraid to make decisions against Manchester City. I genuinely don't know why. If they win this league title, I'm not saying they don't deserve it. However, for anyone to claim that refereeing decisions have not played a role in determining who the Premier League champion is, you're lying. You're 100 million% lying. And also, Arsenal away at Newcastle. Let's not forget that. That right there cost them points as well. So referees have been a part of making these decisions. And I still remember, like, after the Diaz thing happened against Tottenham Hotspur, where they wanted to implement the semi-automated style, the same one that they use in the Champions League and the Premier League, and they refused it. I wonder why they refused it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Instead they want to draw lines using Microsoft Paint, hold shift and draw a line using Microsoft Paint and pause it at the specific moment that they like and have it, moved in as many frames per second as they like. Whether you like it or not, refereeing has played a role in Manchester City winning the league. That does not mean that they don't deserve to win the league. That doesn't mean that, they weren't the better team over the course of the season. But factually, the referees played a role in determining. And this, by the way, the offside, yesterday I noticed it. I couldn't bring it up on the Terrace match reaction because there were many people and I want to disrupt the show. But I saw this and I asked as well while I was doing my watch along why there wasn't a replay. But the reality is referees have played the decision and a role this whole year in determining these things. That's just the reality.
I get where you're coming from. Look, after the game, there must have been about 10 people in my DMs. There must have been easily 50, 60 people on the show that said it looked offside. And I just said, look, it can't have been. That they check every goal. They didn't think it was offside. They would have checked it. It's frustrating. We should always be shown on the screen. And that's why I think next season when the automated checks come in, you'll probably find they show all of them in a quick replay, really easy. So I'm not calling foul on this one. I think obviously it's the day after the night before. There's a lot of unhappiness. There's a lot of anger. There's a lot of frustration from, Man United fans, from Arsenal fans, etc., that are looking for a reason to call foul. The images don't look good. I mean, there's the images that have had the lines drawn on them. When you look at these lines that have been drawn from the shoulder of Romero to the shoulder of De Bruyne, it appears offside. The opposite photo looks offside. This, for me, though, again, is just malpractice from the referees and the TV companies in terms of just not showing us. Because if they showed the lines and they showed they checked it, it would have been... And I think in a game as big as that, you always should make it make a point of actually checking it and showing us that you're checking it, because it removes all of this conversation. I think there's a bit of sour grapes today. I think people are trying to pull the rug from underneath Manchester City's feet. I'm not saying PGMOL haven't made huge mistakes this year, but I've seen them make mistakes against everybody, including City. They got a second goal against Liverpool that shouldn't have been disallowed based on their own standard they set a week earlier when they said that the push in the back of Gabriel isn't a foul. So I've seen even City get hurt with that this season. But the problem is that the process isn't clear. And because the process isn't clear, you always end up in this situation where there's a question mark. Now, look, I know that's handball, 110% from a few years ago. That's a handball. And we called that out at the time. And every City fan and every fan in England, every fan in the world knows that was handball. But when it comes to this offside, all I'm going to say is this. Somebody else has drawn those lines. So I don't know whether or not it's accurate because I'm not the person sitting there making it. The reverse angle looks offside. But we've seen many still shots from TV screens that look offside. They draw the lines. and they're onside. So I'm in the position where I want to be neutral on this and say I agree with Mo. Release the footage. This is where the PGMOL can shut down any calls of conspiracy. They can shut down any cries for cheating. They've got the audio footage there now. Release it. It's going to be, what, a 2-minute clip because they made the decision quickly. Play it. Show us what you did. If they turn around and go, actually, we thought it was onside and we didn't check it, we've now just run the check and, oh, my God, if we'd have drawn the lines, it would be offside, then there's a point. But what I will say in defense of these allegations, I remember when Arsenal fans last season said the lines weren't drawn to show that Tony, whoever it was offside in the Brentford game. And we all said that Arsenal fans are conspiracy theorists. And it turned out they forgot to draw the lines. We all said that when it turned out that VAR had made the mistake against Liverpool this season, where they didn't follow protocol, we all said when that first rumour came out, no, that's just Liverpool fans being bitter. And it came out that it was. So we can't pretend that they haven't made mistakes before. We can't pretend they haven't followed procedure before. So for me, this is the claim that's going around. If the PGMOL have genuine integrity, answer it. It will take you 2 minutes to go onto your Twitter account and put a post out. Just share the footage. Show us that it was checked and done. I think they probably did check it. I think they have done their due diligence. I don't think there's any foul play here. But these images say differently. And normally when it's that close, you get like a forensic examination. So I understand the frustration. But yeah.
So are you saying that if they don't release the audio and you don't release the pictures, you're saying it was offside and they made a mistake?
No, I'm saying if you don't release it, then the question mark's always going to be there for conspiracy. Okay. You know, it's what they say, the moon landing was fake. There must be ways of proving it, right? There must be actual ways of stop. If you make something secretive and you close shop, that's where conspiracy grows from. Be open-ended about it. There should be nothing that they're not willing to show the audience. So show the audience in this case. So I think it's onside. I think when you see the lines are drawn officially, I reckon it's just onside. I
actually don't know, but I'm going to tell you what I think happened. They made a mistake. The linesman was sure, and he told them he's onside, and he didn't check it. The reason why, it's very close in front of me, and I have seen procedure of drawing lines, and it took longer than 30 seconds. The game restarted in about 45 seconds or 30 seconds. I don't know. By the way, I am not sitting here and saying it's onside or offside. I just think it was not checked.
You don't think they've also you don't think they've actually checked it?
I actually don't think it was checked. I think this is
then that's even worse.
No conspiracy, nothing.
That's just being you're saying they're crap at their job, basically.
But they have been against Liverpool and they have been against other teams. But these people have shown us all year sometimes that there is a massive miscommunication that is happening between the referees on the pitch and the referees in the VAR room. This has happened before. It has happened with Brighton. It has happened with Wolves. It has happened with Nottingham Forest.
With Burnley, we got relegated because of it.
I am not saying that there is a conspiracy theory. I actually can't tell you for sure if it's onside or offside. I actually don't know. It looks borderline. Am I wrong? All of us can say that.
It is close. I think it's onside, but it's close, yeah.
Exactly. Okay, you think it's onside. Other people think it's offside, right? I'm not saying Man City cheated or anything. All I am saying is that there is a process that is known to everyone in the league about checking the lines. The process might not have happened because you haven't shown us the pictures. Silence the people that are saying Man City won the game with an offside call. Silence Husam. Show us the picture so Husam will not go on the stream next year and say it was handball. It was an offside. Silence Husam. Silence everyone. It's a very simple job. You checked it. You followed the procedure. Show us. Show us. Simple.
Do you know what? It's really interesting. I mean, if it ever came out that they didn't do the checks, I think, I mean, again, it depends on what football team you support, because some people wouldn't care because they're just happy that Arsenal aren't winning the league. But it would send absolute, I mean, I think it would end VAR. So maybe if they haven't checked it, then they're not going to release it. But then the question marks remain. You know, if you've done your job, and you've done it's like my business. I've got auditors that have come to audit the football terrace. My bookkeeper and my accountant are handling it. I have no concerns and worries because we do it all legitimately. We like, there's nothing I have zero concerns about the business having auditors coming into it. It's just like great because we do everything right. You know, it's all on zero as well. So it's there. It's like great. I've got no qualms of sharing that. Oh my God, what about this? What about that money that's been tucked away there? And what about the Swiss bank accounts? I've got nothing to hide. So therefore, come inside, have a look. That's my view on these things.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, so just share it. Like, I think it's onside, but just show it, for God's sakes. Just show the damn thing, and it would end things.
And if they had the guts to show how bad they did of a job at Liverpool and Spurs game, show us this. Bro, at the Liverpool and Spurs game, that was one of the worst communication that happened between the referees and VAR room. Show us what happened. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Show us what happened.
No, I agree with you on that. 110%. They should be doing it. Russell here says mistakes are made once or twice. When it's continuously happens, it's cheating. It's not that simple. Why are we acting like we don't know it's that it's corruption in football?
Specifically with the Rodri handball that gave them the title 2 years ago.
I disagree with this. It's all mistakes. I'm not gonna listen. I am not gonna sit here and tell you that City paid the referees until this is a.
I've never claimed that either.
Okay, so why do you think then there is a conspiracy? Why do you think they help in City then? There has to be a reason. Why would the referee help Manchester City?
The referees are incompetent.
Okay, but why it's always that incompetence goes in favor of Man City? Can you just?
I just don't think they have the balls to make these decisions against Man
City. Against Man City. Why?
Yeah.
There has to be a reason. Anyway, I know what Terry wants to do.
No. I agree with you. I agree with you, Mo.
But I really want to understand Sam's point. You have to have a reason.
No, I agree with you, Mo. I think that they make mistakes, but I don't think they're purposely making mistakes to help particular clubs. I just think they make mistakes. So, yeah, that's my view. Was never checked. Was given as benefit of the doubt. Which, I mean, if that's true, if that's true, then it's horrendous because everything is meant to be checked. Romero and Sarr red cards didn't suit the agenda.
Romero and Sarr red card. Which Romero and Sarr red card?
Which Romero and Sarr? Sarr.
Oh, you said they should have got red cards yesterday.
Sarr stepped on the bottom of the Achilles. That happens every game.
And Romero on the goalkeeper. That was his hip. It wasn't even his. That's not a red card even.
Well, even the commentator said the yellow card is it's actually harsh. The yellow card. Yeah. He had all the right to go for it. Yeah.
Isn't it mental that Barcelona have accused of paying refs seemingly during reps time? Now City have amazing decisions go for them. Very interesting is what Jack Howe says. Big up Terry, Husam and Mo. As a Liverpool fan, Husam has made me change my mind on Arsenal winning the league, especially what we saw from Spurs. Mediocre FC. Thank you.
I told the people stop looking at the fans. The people, you know what was many people's reason, Terry. This is literally was people's reason. The reason why I don't want Arsenal to win the league is because their fan base is annoying. That's it.
That's bullshit. That's bullshit.
Well, what I've realized about that over the last few days, I've been thinking about it quite a bit because it's part of my job. It's because cameras are on and social media is there. People keep putting up those videos of the AFTV boys saying they'd rather lose their final if it meant Spurs lost theirs. I think if there's no cameras, they don't say that. I almost feel like people nowadays, they struggle so much with banter and with criticism and with people laughing at them that they'd rather just work in the opposite way to try and defend themselves from it. It's crazy to me. Why no?
What the AFTV guys said. I'll tell you why. Because Arsenal don't have any European trophies. So if Spurs and Chelsea both have Champions Leagues before them, they're not going to sit up here and like flaunt about winning the Europa. That's the reality.
But that would be another European. I disagree. I think for me, next season, we're not going to be in the Europa League. If we're in the Conference League final and Liverpool in the Champions League final, if a genie said, Terry, if you lose your final, Liverpool lose theirs, as much as I don't want you getting further ahead of us on Champions Leagues, I wouldn't ever reject a trophy to stop another team winning a trophy. That's just me.
Yeah, but you have.
I agree with you on this, by the way. Nobody disagrees with you on this. This is otherwise it's stupidity to actually accept losing a trophy because somebody else is gonna have a trophy. Yeah, that's
this here says
why with Champions Leagues.
So this super chat here says on why no AI offside lines. Your own league voted against it. Well, that's coming in from next year. It's going to be semi-automated like the Champions League, so we will see them. This progression you speak of doesn't exist under ENIC. They've chucked away countless managers' progress, simply do not care as long as there is Champions League cash. But the time that you got in the Champions League 3 years running, you got to the final in the third year. So I see that as progression. Now, I agree they messed up after Poch. They definitely did. but you still got yourselves to that point. And I think first year under Ange has been pretty good. Why not progress from that point? But that's just my opinion. Most Premier League refs are also refs in Saudi. That's WIMO.
I don't understand.
The UAE. No, there's obviously
Oh,
some
he's
of the
answering the question why they favor Man City.
Yes.
Oh, but I'm sorry, but also Premier League referees, I know they live in Romania and live in other countries as well, so we cannot use that as a barometer. They live in UAE, they live in Emirates, I know that.
Yeah, this here says, is Michael Carrick underrated and could do a good job at United in enough time? I don't think he's underrated. I don't think he's overrated. I think he's doing a good job. Stay where he is right now. Keep learning, young man. Keep learning. Young man in terms of a manager, that is. There's no image because it was never checked. So that's from tier 1 sources. Who
What
are the
is,
tier 1 sources?
please, I need to know this. I need to know this for real.
Yeah, who are the tier 1 sources? Let us know. You also saw BN Sport last night, boys, call out the charges of Man City. I want to play their clip and then get your opinions on it. This is what they said.
Most of it.
But I guess exactly. And does it, you know, where do you stand as a Liverpool fan?
54 failures to provide accurate financial information between 2009-10 to 2018. 14 failures to provide accurate details for player and manager payments. 5 failures to comply with UEFA's rules, including financial fair play 2013, 14, 17, 18. 7 breaches of Premier League's PSR rules 2015, 16, 17, 18. 35 failures to cooperate with the Premier League investigations from December 2018 onwards. I mean, that's the charge sheet.
Yeah. Well, listen, there's nothing we can do until whoever.
So BN Sport sort of reading the charge sheet off last night.
I want to read it out publicly.
No, I do, but read it out. But then I want you to answer me this question. Is that not just sort of bitterness from people as City are about to lift more trophies, talking about it now rather than at other stages in the season? But over to you.
Guys, spam 115 in the chat. 54 times failure to provide accurate financial information, 2009, 2010 to 2017, 18. 14 times failure to provide accurate details for player and manager payments from 2009, 10 to 2017, 18. 5 times failure to comply with UEFA rules, including FFP 2013, 14 to 17, 18. 7 times breaching Premier League PSR rules 2015, 16 to 2017, 18. 35 times failure to cooperate with Premier League investigations, December 2018 up until this day. These are the 115 charges that Manchester City are charged with. I love it. I love Arsenal fans. Arsenal fans, we come together. Live Arsenal forever. We must press this. We must press this. The only thing we need is the 3rd member of the Red Cartel. You get me? Manchester United joining us, you know, and I'm going to embrace it. I'm learning from the feminists. Let me tell you what I'm learning from the feminists. The feminists sometimes say, take the power away from the insults that men use. You know how men traditionally call successful women bitches, and they just took that word back from them and took the power back, and now that no longer is an insult, I'm going to take it back. Manchester City fans believe there is a red cartel. You get me? Let's employ the red cartel, baby. Let's go for it. Because they need to get charged. They need to get, sorry, not charged. They're already charged. They need to get, get me found guilty.
Convicted.
And if they do get found guilty, you get me? Jurgen Klopp is a 3-time Premier League winner. Incredibly. Now, all of a sudden, he's the 2nd greatest Premier League manager of all time. This is a thing of beauty right here in my eyes. I'm looking at it right now. It's beautiful. And when you say that they've brought it up a little bit salty, I'll tell you why it's not salty. No one, and I mean no one, wants the Premier League turning into a farmers league, or turning into a Bundesliga, or turning into an institute, basically a competition in which the same team wins over and over and over and over again. Specifically, if it's a team that was started 12 years ago. You know, if it's a club that was started 12 years ago, because all these City fans, you know, we have the likes of Martin, we have the likes of LB and Nobbins and others who have been City fans their whole life. Mank, born and bred, I get it. You get me? But all these fans in the chat that are acting so tribal towards Manchester City, If the Sheikh bought Everton, you would have been singing Everton songs. And if the Sheikh bought Newcastle, you would have been a Geordie. And if the Sheikh bought any other club, if the Sheikh bought Tottenham, who we're all calling bottlers right now, you would all be singing, oh, when the Spurs go marching in, every single one of you. You have no emotional connection to your football club whatsoever. You're sexually attracted to trophies. That's why you're City fans. You're all a bunch of glory hunters. And I hope City get found guilty. And I hope City get found guilty. And I hope if City do get found guilty, then I want my trophies. I want my trophies because deep down, guys, we all know City are not the highest revenue generating machine in the world. Like, you know, if someone had a gun to your head and you're like, do you think City more make money than Real Madrid? You have to answer honestly or you get shot. You know, you're gonna say, like, everyone knows deep down they're gonna say, come on, Real Madrid is gonna be a club that makes more revenue. I'm just saying because Real Madrid were winning Champions Leagues when Manchester City were in League 2. I'm just saying, bro. Just saying.
I do get you. And look, I want the investigation, the trial, the hearing to happen. I want to know the truth. But Mo, do you feel like it's sort of they're rolling out these stories? Typically, they roll out these stories international breaks and on the eve of City doing something brilliant.
Yeah.
Do you feel like the timing of it is a little bit off, or do you think it's right and acceptable for them to be having these conversations right now?
Anyone that keeps saying now that the Chargers are this and the Chargers that are salty fans like Husam, it's called losers. You guys are losers, and I know you want the truth and all of this, but I guarantee you guys, you would not have been saying that if Man City weren't winning. If Arsenal won the league, nobody would have said that. I actually think that Man City won it on the pitch as well. I know that people want to say they built a team from this and that. And also Husam calling Man City fans. They became Man City fans because the Sheikh bought them. And a lot of Liverpool fans, including yourself, would not have been Liverpool if this player didn't play, if Liverpool weren't on TV and stuff like that. So Man City fans became that because they were successful. You became a Liverpool fan because you watched them on TV. A lot of Man United international fans became Man United fans.
Do you see the difference?
No, I don't. And let
No,
me
because
finish.
you just mentioned me.
Don't cut me off. No,
I'm going to cut you off because you just mentioned me. You just said, I became a Liverpool fan because I saw my team on TV. Do you recognize the difference between supporting a club that's winning right now
okay, can I ask
actually having an... Once
yeah,
again,
I can explain it to you. I can explain it to you. A lot of fans.
Footy Judge Mo's the same guy that says on YouTube, I supported Inter before they won.
Because of Ronaldo.
You said they supported them. You supported them before they won.
Yes, 100%.
Exactly. So you have an emotional attachment to your club.
Habibi, let me tell you, Habibi. In America, for example, NBC, they bought the league rights. Right? There's a lot. By the way, there is a big fan club of Man City supporters in New York. This club started because the people actually got into football in America. That people got to America. Why are you laughing?
Listen, I'm not going to say anything. Is Vader the head of the group?
Maybe, but my point is, I am always against one thing. I am always against changing a club. That's a crime. Never change your club. But if someone got into football lately, because football came to TV later on their country and became a fan, I'm not going to knock them off. They could have been fans of different clubs. By the way, some of them chose Man City when Man City didn't win 7 in a row. It was Man United and Chelsea and stuff. But my point about the Chargers, going back to the Chargers. Going back to the Chargers. The Chargers is a very sensitive thing for Man City fans. The reason why, because a lot of people accuse him of winning only because of the Chargers. But I guarantee you, Pep Guardiola won because he is the best coach. He's the guy with the best team.
Mo, let me just jump in for a minute.
No, Terry, I hate when people do this. This is exactly what Vader done yesterday. It's not about Pep or the players.
I literally said it's about freaking Pep. Why do you lie? Why do you lie? I literally just said it's about Pep.
Stop shouting. Stop shouting.
I just said it's about
You're
Pep.
the reason why they have a Champions League. Sit on the floor. Let me speak.
You said on the floor.
When it comes to Manchester City, you're the reason
why
they have a Champions League. You're the reason why they have a Champions League. When I face them in the Champions League, I stop them. I stop them more when I face them in the Champions League. Oxlade-Chamberlain did what Barella couldn't. You fraud. Let me speak now. Let
At
me
least,
speak.
bro, you
No
had
one
the money,
mentioned
you had the
Haaland.
best
No
players,
one-
and you failed,
Let me
you
know.
fraud. Your
Guys,
manager failed. You had, I
hang
had
on,
the best player on the
hang on,
I
guys,
had
guys.
the
Let me,
best defender. You
I'm going to
failed.
jump in, guys. I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to jump in. I get what you're saying, Mo, that the team still had to go out there and win and achieve. I think the fundamental flaw in your thoughts that are, though, that if these charges are true, so innocent till proven guilty, but if they're true, and they didn't have the money to build this squad, and they didn't have the money to bring in Pep Guardiola, they wouldn't have been able to do it. That's the issue here, is that would that have all been possible? So it's there. For me, though, I get frustrated at the timing of things. So the other day, I was very frustrated at the timing of the media suddenly talking about Old Trafford falling down and the waterfalls and the flooding. I'm sitting again, hang on. We've been calling this out for 6-7 years, and you'll say the media 9 times out of 10 says we're ungrateful, we're ungrateful, we're ungrateful, we're ungrateful. Then suddenly they talk about it. I've wanted to hear in-depth conversations about City's charges for 15 months now. I almost feel the timing of it, though, is not at the appropriate moment. It's always sort of just before they win something or just when they've won something. I'm like, well, hang on, why have you ignored it for 15 months and you're bringing it up now? It kind of makes no sense to me, personally. Breaking news, though. Breaking news, right? The Premier League clubs, it says here, Premier League clubs clubs to vote on a proposal to scrap VAR next season. Resolution formally submitted by Wolves to abolish the system. The agenda will be discussed on the 6th of June at the AGM meeting. Any rule change needs a 2/3 majority, so 14 of the 20 teams to vote. So Premier League teams are looking to try and scrap. I mean, we just had a big debate about it. Now Premier League teams want it scrapped. And my initial thoughts very quickly on that is this. The problem with that is, this is what's crazy. I don't think they should be scrapping it. I think they should be voting for reform, because let's just paint a picture that KDB was offside last night. With VAR, you should be able to prove whether it is or it isn't, or at the very least, you could show that they made a mistake. All that's now going to happen is those mistakes are going to happen, and there's going to be zero recourse. I don't think scrapping VAR is the right thing to do. I think they've got to get rid of clear and obvious, and they've just got to look at it as, is it a foul or is it not? I think you bring in automated offsides and you keep goal line technology. But what do you boys think of that? The clubs want it gone.
Forget that. Why
I'm all
today?
for it.
Why today?
I'm all for it.
Why today? Why now? Why today after the offside yesterday? Why is this today? Why is this being proposed today? Scrape VAR. Why today?
Yeah,
Something
but hang on a minute.
that is wrong.
Hang on a minute. Wolves, though, Wolves have submitted it. There's no way Wolverhampton Wanderers woke up this morning after that Spurs City game and went, we're going to put a proposal
Because
together.
of the mistakes.
It's clearly been in the works for a while.
I think VAR is good. I actually don't know why people say VAR is bad. VAR has been amazing. VAR actually corrected more mistakes than not. I don't know why people want to scrape VAR. I think the only thing that needs in the Premier League, to be honest, is transparency. They need to have more transparency. They need to have a procedure where people know that the right call has been made. They have been trying this season when they said they released audio and stuff, but we need more. The offside thing is great. Scraping VAR is bad. I don't think it's the right thing to do. They just need more transparency, to be honest. They need more. And by the way, everyone that keeps saying VAR is ruining football, just go back 4 years ago when offside calls, obvious ones, because the referee couldn't catch up with the fast players and he missed the call completely. Just go back with a yard. We're not talking about we're talking about a yard offside because the referee missed it.
I totally agree. But you probably find this is what it will do. It's almost like negotiations. Let's threaten to vote it out and scrap it, and you'll probably get the changes that you want. Does that make sense? But I mean, I swear the offside law is changing soon, so where there has to be like air between the player and defender, which by the way means Rashford's going to have so many more goal scoring opportunities. But if they bring that in and bring in semi-automated offsides, goal line technology works perfectly. And I think they've got to get rid of this clear and obvious bullshit. The clear and obvious bullshit is the problem here. I actually believe, I know I got the theory in the beginning that they don't want VAR to re-referee, but I think it should. If there's a penalty that's been given that just isn't a penalty, you overturn it. If a penalty hasn't been given that is a penalty, you overturn it. I think if you do those things, I don't think anyone's going to have a problem with it. But yeah, we'll see what happens with this one. What's your thoughts on that?
I agree with Terry, by the way. It's just about reforming VAR. I don't think we should scrap VAR. I think we should reform it. I think the system is perfect. I think the way the referees implement it is the problem. And I think every time saying words like clear and obvious is a problem. And I also agree with Mo, unfortunately. I agree with Mo in terms of we need transparency. I genuinely want a paragraph from the PGMOL at the start of the season saying, if this happens, this is the correct outcome. If that happens, that's the correct outcome. Simple. Just tell me 1 + 1 = 2. That's it.
Yeah, it's very simple.
Yeah,
There's one more thing but we can't re-ref the games, Terry. There has to be clear. Clear in it means penalties, for example, red cards. The referee needs to go and make his own decision. Wrong or right, just make your own decision.
Correct decision.
I actually still think this is the correct. I know Terry disagrees with us, but that's for a different thing. Martin, big up Martin. My point is there need to be clear. That means red cards, penalties, goals, done. Nothing else. No bad, no freak, no stuff in the middle. You know what I mean? And listen, the thing about the VAR thing, it's done good, more good than bad. People just misunderstood VAR. People just forgot. Short memory, bro.
No, I agree with you, Mo. It's the refs that's the problem, not the system.
No, I hear that. I do. Yeah, I don't like. I actually love the VAR up until Howard Webb got involved, and because I used to feel like they overturned bad decisions. Now it's almost like we're going to try our best to go with what the on-field decision was, even if the on-field decision is wrong. For me, that's just ridiculous. The idea of in every other sport, VAR or whatever its version is, the idea is to get the most accurate decision possible. Not, well, let's just do whatever imagine in tennis, the VAR shows that it was in, but because the umpire said it was out, they still give it out. That would make no point in having it. Yeah. Big up Husam, liver ass. Live ass. They put the R in there. Live our ass. Who did you see? Did you see Swedish Ramble's timeline on City's cheating, Terry? They've delayed charges since 2018. Why do if you're innocent? Well, look, people have got the right to defend themselves, and lawyers will push for that. That is a protocol that does not guarantee that they are guilty. But when people ask why this has taken so long, City are a big part of the reason because they have delayed it. That is just a cast iron fact that court documents can prove. Husam doesn't know ball. City hit record attendance numbers way before the Sheikh ever took over. City were winning major trophies before Liverpool.
City were winning major trophies before. Brother, we had 4 Champions Leagues when you were in League One, brother. Please stop. Stop embarrassing yourself. You know what's the trophy you won most of? Championships. They got 9 championships.
Sorry, Husam. In democracies, we are innocent until proven guilty. I know it's a foreign nation to you, for you, where the king handpicks the cabinet. No hate.
Actually, the Jordanian parliament is voted by the people, so I choose MPs. Basically, it's the British system.
I'm going to ask you, did the Britain have something to do with Jordan at some point? Then,
yeah, we were
all of this area where
I know we had a lot of hand in a lot of countries. I don't know all of them. I'm not going to lie. I'm not sure on all of them. This is where you said that. I was like, yeah, okay. Is that king or queen on any of your money?
Does the king and queen what?
Is the English queen or now king on any of your money?
No.
Jordan are independent.
Okay, because in some countries are independent, but a lot of countries that are in the Commonwealth, some of their money has their faces on. I just wondered. I don't know.
Yeah.
Afternoon, Terry and everyone. Mo, if City have cheated, then Inter Milan were cheated out of winning a Champions League last season.
We lost it on the pitch, bro. We lost it on the pitch. Come on.
But what about if it was against a team that shouldn't have been put together? That shouldn't have existed.
This is when we disagree. We did a show before. I'm not going into that again. I actually
Mo believes it's okay to cheat, basically.
Oh yeah, we remember. Yeah,
you remember that, guys. I believe it's okay if they cheated.
I think if they cheated, they cheated. But in my opinion, they should have been allowed to actually build their team. They should have been allowed. No. They should have been allowed to build their team. Simple.
Mo, your honest thoughts on Klopp's 9 years at Liverpool. Love Husam, no bullshit. Takes on everything related to Chelsea. Love the show, Terry. Keep it up. Thank you.
Successful time. Did he underachieve? A little bit, yes. He did a little bit.
I'll say this about the Chelsea part. Listen, that's my biggest W this year. I told people Poch isn't the problem, and boom, boom on your head tops. Poch out, hold.
Liver Arsenal United. I'll be there for the joint parade. On the refs, you feel that there should be more severe consequences for incompetency. Yeah, there should be, but remember, there isn't a long line and plethora of referees coming through, so you can't just sack them all, because then you'll have no one left to referee your games. But holding people accountable and helping to educate them generally makes people better. Protecting them and covering up their mistakes leads to incompetency. How exciting was football before VAR? I think it's just as good. I don't think VAR. I understand for match-going fans, if you celebrate and it's taken away, it's horrible. But I've also seen teams celebrate twice for the same goal because of VAR. So I don't think it's changed that much. The issue with VAR stems from inconsistent calls on the pitch. That needs to be transparent and, more importantly, consistent. I agree. You're absolutely spot on there, my friend, Mr. Johnson. I'm Sheikh Mansour, and all must follow me. My next stop is Liverpool. Patrick again here says refs view using VAR as them looking bad. It's a tool. Use it as such. No fan will cry wolf if the correct decision comes by. Generally speaking, you're right. I agree. VAR should rule on offsides, goal lines, and ball out of play. Penalties are subjective, and I don't think people will ever agree. But that's also a good shout. Maybe you just keep it to balls going in and out of play, offsides, and did the ball cross the line. Keep it to those, and then the subjective decisions you keep. But then the problem with the subjective decisions is this. This is why it should be easy. Referee's like, no, there was no contact. Yes, there was contact. Okay, I'm going to go and have a look at it. And still don't think it was a foul. But every time they go to the VAR, they normally change their mind. And that's the bit that's weird. You know that it's all strange. None of it makes sense. City won the FA Cup before Liverpool won a single trophy.
Wow. Huddersfield won a title before Arsenal. Oh, let's all call Huddersfield a big club now. Be quiet, man.
They did a three-peat. My slot revenge next season will be epic, Husam, as well.
Hey, Winter Surfer, if this summer FSG sell 25 players, buy 25 kids, I'm going to be FSG out, not slot out.
Yeah. Mic up the refs and make them explain big calls on loudspeakers so everyone hears it.
There will be controversy as well. There will be controversy. Like it doesn't matter because it's subjective, KJ. Here's
the thing: automated offsides. You get me? When it comes to the goal, what's it called? The goal line ones. I agree as well. It's just a watch. We can all tell if it's a goal or not. But the other stuff, penalties, it's true. As Terry said,
contact or no contact.
That's contact. That's it. Go look at it. Done.
I agree. Look, I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. We are live tonight after the Chelsea versus they're playing Brighton game and Man United versus Newcastle. So make sure you are all tuning in for that. Until next time, take care. Hit the like button before we leave, by the way. But take care. Goodbye. God bless. Thank you, Angela, here right at the end, signing up and becoming an official squad member of the Football Terrace. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you.